much. Good morning, my fellow dignitaries on the panel, on the dais here, Mr. Chatterjee from Capital Land, Mr. Swaminathan from Schneider Electric, Simon Fletcher, the MD of the media company hosting this, my colleague from the IT department, the CTO of Elcott, and the many, many of you gathered here today. Thank you for coming. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for being patient. I apologize. I've been running back and forth to Madurai almost daily for the last 4 or 5 days, and so I was a bit late getting here. But I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to see such an overflowing hall and to see all the different booths and activities outside. Because I think the importance of this sector of the economy cannot be overstated. I'm old enough to have started my graduate studies in the US when we were still getting time on mainframes and creating punch cards to put in the code. So I've seen this industry evolve and the sector and the technology evolve from the days of wax machines and mini mainframes and Unix machines, all the way to the other end of this totally integrated notion of cloud and data center. And I would say when the first notion of cloud, let's say late 90s, came about, I don't think any of us envisioned the actual capacity of data holding, data generation, and data analytics and computing power that was to come, let's say 20, 25 years later. So while Amazon first kind of got into the cloud business, diversifying from their, massive store and retail, I thought it was interesting innovation. But I don't think anybody saw 25, 30 years ago this evolution where you have now almost infinite data being generated, being stored at relatively zero marginal cost and analyzed. And these two notions of a data center and of cloud are actually inseparable. If you did not have the capacity to access through the cloud, the data center would be useless. And if you did not have large volumes of data that needed to be shared, stored, accessed, just the computing power alone would not make the cloud in itself that attractive. So I think this confluence and the coming together of these applications and these technologies has been of tremendous value. And whatever we think of this current iteration of the coming of artificial intelligence, it would simply not be possible if you did not have the kinds of volume of data that we see now in the data centers, and also the kinds of processing powers available on demand rather than for full capital investment, given both the shortage of supply of the right kinds of chips and processors, as well as the huge cost for these. We would simply not be at the frontier of innovation if everybody had to actually buy the entire computing setup themselves. So access to high levels of computing power on demand through cloud is as integral a component to this age of AI as any other kind of building block, in my view. In Tamil Nadu, we are very happy that our natural talents and natural strengths in terms of connectivity, the undersea cables, power, particularly green power, the ability to wheel it, and being one of the top producers. I think something like 35% of our energy is green. A lot of the data center owners and hyperscalers are committed to going carbon neutral in relatively short order. So our ability to provide the green energy, in addition to the reliability and robustness of having cable landing stations. And of course, the broader, though this business is not as talent intensive as some other aspects of technology, it is still needing of the right level of skill and the right scale of such talent. And that has been one of Tamil Nadu's strengths over the last 100 years or so, since we universalized education and achieved the tremendous rates of output that we achieve today, close to 100% of children going through high school and over 50% of all children attending tertiary education, which is the goal of the Government of India's policy by 2050, and we've already crossed that in Tamil Nadu today. So with all of these, I think it's natural that we find both the data center business, of course, the integrated and inseparable cloud business, but also the broader tech growth to be accelerating in Tamil Nadu faster than in most places. As I've said in many events, I think we've kind of been a bit slow for the last couple of decades. Tamil Nadu was the leader in IT around the turn of the century for various reasons, because we had a diversified economy, because we had other kind of channels and avenues of growth. We took our priority off this a bit relative to places like Bangalore, Hyderabad. But now we are coming back in a big way as the shift of the industry happens towards data centers, towards AI, towards a different level of processing. In terms of the government itself, as you know, all over the world, governments are the single biggest source of data creation, right? We capture all data about everybody. Birth, death, tax, certificate, education, incentives, programs, driving license, distribution, public distribution, whatever it is. Ever since our government came to power, when I had a different portfolio, we have been pushing hard to improve both the collection and management of the data that the government has, and to bring more and more of the government's functioning online, and then to use this to drive both efficiency of outreach, to make as many citizen government interactions human touchless, so technology based as possible, and also to use this data to improve the efficiency of the government's functioning, both in terms of actual administrative functioning, which a lot of governments lack the kind of technology platforms that commercial companies or operations have, as well as to improve the efficiency of spending. When the government spends some money, we want to make sure that most of it, if not all of it, goes to the intended purpose and is not lost in either administrative inefficiencies or leakages. So I would say it has been very heartening for me, both in my previous role and my current role, how much we have changed the government's collection, integration, and utilization of data for the sake of running the government as well as running the programs of the government. And to name just a few, that we have gone majorly towards the family databases. We have greatly increased the government's own ERP system, the IFHRMS. We have created an integrated land record system. We have beefed up the CCTNS for the police. And we have made the e-office almost ubiquitous throughout the government. And instead of having to process thousands of files, we can do this all online. And doing it online gives us 10 other benefits. It gives you institutional memory, it gives you searchability, sortability, gives you, infinite connectivity. Just as one example, I announced back in 21 in the initial budget that we would digitize and tag and sort and basically make usable 100% of the proceedings of the assembly of the state of Tamil Nadu first, and eventually all the way to the presidency, Madras presidency, going back to 1920-21. We have just opened the first, the Chief Minister, Honorable Chief Minister, has just opened the first section of that, which is after the first assembly elected in 1952, what all debates, budgets, bills, 100% everything tagged by speaker, by subject, by intent, by the law, and it has proved to be invaluable in terms of the quality of debate in the assembly, because now anybody can refer to any past event and say, why did you say this then and why are you saying it now, if it's the same person? Or what was the government's position 20 years ago, what was it 10 years ago, what is it today? So it increases, and the intent I had mentioned back then is that the quality of debate in the legislature and the availability of background material to legislators was so poor because there was no institutional memory, because every time a new MLA comes, there's no easy way to access what has been done in the last 50 or 75 years. So even in the assembly, even in the kind of seat of democracy where the people's representatives are, we have been able to use data and platforms and a central kind of database with the right annotations, tagging of the data to greatly improve the quality of debate. And I think this is just the beginning. We are doing it in a lot of other places. The vision, if we get this right eventually, is that as many of the AI companies have already pitched us, if the government's data can be made with the right privacy controls, made accessible to innovators, to startups, to AI, and even to the government's departments, especially in the age of voice-based AI, we can actually profoundly improve the functioning of government, the connectivity of the government to the citizens, and the accessibility of services and incentives, as well as the platform that will drive innovation and drive startups, because they will have access to such a rich database through which they can do infinite amounts of innovative analytics to look for insights and drive new ideas. So on that vision, of course, we are happy to see this ecosystem grow and flourish here, because without this ecosystem, without such companies, without the AI startups, without the AI innovators, we would not be able to achieve this vision of our role of how government should function and what we can do to improve the people's administration, the use of the people's money, the ability to provide frictionless, efficient, transparent services to citizens, and then to provide the platform from which analysis, innovation, learning of machines can happen. So, for all those reasons, I say thank you to all of you. Thank you to the organizers. Thank you to the many large companies here. I know my friend is the CEO of one of the bigger data center companies. He wrote me yesterday saying his chief business officer was coming. So I know all the big companies of the world in some way are here. I thank all of you for your interest, for your commitment, for your investment here. I thank the organizers for holding this conference on a regular basis. Such conferences are very important for you to learn, to build a network, hopefully have some fun. We want you to have fun when you're here in Chennai, and advance the collective vision of the sector and the industry. So I'm very pleased to see this happen. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you for inviting me, and I wish you all the best.